copy, right? That's pretty much the way it is. And the reason why I think this has happened is pretty simple. It's pretty much peeling the onion. Back in 2010s, what occurred was Gmail and Outlook. I mean, again, this is me with the tinfoil hat on, of course. Gmail, Gmail and Outlook said, "All right, we'll beat them on the technicals." The MX records, DKIM, Mark SPF. We've all heard the fancy titles. Then they said, all right, now everyone's doing the fancy shit. Let's just go something a bit further than that. They started getting into things like tenant fingerprinting and not buying too many mailboxes from a single workspace, or tenant is the equivalent of an admin for anyone who uses Microsoft. All that fancy stuff, right? We cannot have too many mailboxes per tenant, bounce rates matter, reply rates matter, etc. That was part two, and that's still existent. Part three is kind of where we are right now, effectively meaning they're now going to use content as a way to identify whether you're a spammer or not, right? Or your relevance is high or not. We've seen this, and again, so I may say that the whole I've said this in the I've previously said this, so please forgive me because I've repeated this a few times on my side as well, which is we've literally seen where we would send mails to 10 people, which is our own mailboxes, and when I would mark the first mail as spam and I refresh on the right side, maybe three or four, you would see that mail disappear and hit the spam folder. And it's common. Other people have seen it. We're not the first ones to discover it. It happens. And the reason why that happens is because the content's the same. So when your content is the same, these Bayesian algorithm baseline secure email gateways or Google spam filter or Outlook spam filters pretty much pick up that this content has been previously marked as spam. So I'm going to go ahead and change it up or move it to spam, right? So yeah, that's the TLDR. The baseline format is quite straightforward. You're in the world of AI, in the world of relevance. Our B2B obviously has something great to offer on that part as well, which is stay very, very relevant to your lead, change your copy very proactively, spin tax the crap out of it, use AI where you have to. Um, and it's not that hard to close a deal then at that point.
I have a lot of questions about, well, I have a couple of really big questions about this content or copy thing. So I remember, I mean, I think we've all seen that HubSpot list of like, it's like, here are the 400 spam words that you
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
avoid in your email copy. We were all using that for
yeah,
probably 10 years.
yeah.
Is there, I would imagine with just AI, and I mean, Google has one of the most robust
Sure.
AI systems. I use Gemini every day. Um, are there new rules to follow when it comes to copy? Is it still based on words, or is it more like the repetition of the copy? Are there certain kind of changing principles that people should be aware of?
Great question. A bit nascent for me to give a direct answer saying this is the absolute, because I know when I say something, everyone says, "I told you said that," and this I get a screenshot recording, and I'm like, "All right, okay." I so I've been caught in the past for that. So I try to be very neutral. So please forgive me if I come with very lame politically correct answers. Been burnt. But and that's just because it changes. What I say right now, as you all know, will probably change by the 19th of May, right? Something's going to happen by then. But to answer your question very quickly, uh, we've actually got a spam tracker. The words, it's actually when you create content, you can see that yourself at that point and end. And what we also go ahead and do is we have something on the delivery side where you can actually see which, when you change content, how many mails land in primary, how many land in secondary, how many land in the promotion or spam folder. So what I can point out to very straightforward over here is, without going into certain, I guess, patterns to follow, what I can suggest is what you can do to be on top of your game so that I'm not giving a templated solution, right? If you got Microsoft or if you got Google, with Microsoft, you got Microsoft Defender, and with Google, you got Postmasters. So Microsoft Defender, the interesting thing, I don't know which subscription model it is, but on the higher tiers, you can effectively see where your emails land. So it's not that secretive. So if you set up for Microsoft Defender and you send your mails through Microsoft Defender, which is basically you can connect your mailboxes to Microsoft Defender, it will tell you if your mail has landed in the target leads Microsoft account, if it is Microsoft, if it's landed in the spam or primary folder. It's not 100% accurate 99% of the time. There's irony in that, but it does work. Cool. And the second thing is with Postmasters. What Postmasters does for you is it gives you very good indication of how many people are marking your content as spam and how many people are not marking as spam. When people are marking it as spam, what you can easily do, it's actually straightforward. You get a list of those mails that have been marked as spam, pull it down, and generally, if you're just lazy AF, take that CSV, dump it to ChatGPT, and straight away say, what are some common word clouds of patterns of words that I'm using here that's marking me as spam? So it's not that your mail will go to spam directly because of this, but what it will mean is there's a higher chance now future mails you send that contain similar words will probably end up in spam. These are just preventative patterns I can offer. So sort of flipped it if you don't mind, which was less around here's what you should do versus here's the measures that you can set up and you'll be able to figure out or sail your own boat as a result.
Can I ask some detail about something you said earlier? So you were like, are you suggesting that it's a good idea to send completely unique emails to all of your
100%.
leads? So, and
100%.
you use AI to do that, use Clay to do that, whatever, but it
You
should
can use
be,
AI, you can use spin taxing, like regressive spin taxing. So
what is
the
spin
magic
taxing?
number, spin taxing
I've never heard.
basically means is pretty much just instead of saying, hey, first name, blah, 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 you get to say, hey, hi, hello, first name. So the change of verbiage effectively, quote unquote, the job of that is to effectively help
Yeah.
bring in more randomization and draw in a bit more humanistic pattern. But the concept to draw here is Google's not dumb, right?
Yeah.
Hey, hi, hello is kind of all the same shit, right?
Yeah.
So what they're going to look for is intent or switch. So effectively, it's the same as doing A/B testing. So you have to try different angles and offers, or your spin tax needs to be so aggressive, which is not hey, hi, hello, but it has to be good morning, Adam, or um, I read about you somewhere, Adam. So it's all greetings, but very different greetings. It's not just hey, hi, hello anymore.
Yeah.
And you can do that in nested ways, and you can do that littered across your entire content. So when you're sending an email, it can be the same copy or intent, but it's completely separate messages because of the permutation combinations you've got going for 1,000 separate leads,
That's crazy. Does
if that makes
your
sense.
system do that?
Yeah, we've been doing it for 2 years, 2, 3 years,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Yeah.
Is it,
Really?
and
Uh,
is that like a PLG feed? Like everybody listening could just sign up and like they could up
yeah,
level
yeah,
their
you can do
skill and they
that.
could just get in there and do it. They don't need agency help or anything.
Great question. So as of now, you want to use like a spin tax generator, but probably as of tomorrow, day after, we've got our own, like we've got a spin tax creator, so you can click a button, put in like general content or your singular copy, click a button, and then we'll spin tax the crap out of it for you. So you should be sorted.
Sick.
Tom in the chat asked about the subject line. Do you do the same thing for subject lines where
Yeah.
you,
Fabulous question. No, I don't do it for subject lines. For subject lines, you actually have to have A/B testing. The reason is simple, because the goal of spin tax over here is to beat the spam filter. The goal of the subject line is to get through click-through rates. So if your subject line is different and you've got spin taxing, most platforms, including us, will not be able to tell you won't have the analytics to get the exact verbiage that converted. I mean, you'll have all the data, but you'll have to actually pull it down and do it your way. But if you want to do different subjects, you can simply A/B test it. You can add like 90 A/B variants on our platform. So don't spin tax, just create your 90 variants. So that way you actually have pretty solidified data sets to let you know this is working versus this isn't. Because again, with spin tax, it's not treated as a separate variant altogether. It's just randomization.
a few other questions popped up about subject line. Are there a specific number of words that you're finding from Smart Lead folks who are getting, I guess, quality open rates? Is it
So
like a
not
word?
words. It's actually it's how human you keep it. So a new pattern that a trend we're seeing a lot of people do more recently. I think as of just like literally April, May, is all lowercase and like 3 or 4 words. Right?
All
Literally
lowercase?
looks like it's like a work email. Yeah.
Actually, somebody, Venki in the chat had asked about, yeah, Venki said pretty much everyone's inbox is flooded. I wonder if any economic buyer is spending more than 1 second to look at cold email these days. I think they are if it looks like it's coming from a human. If it
Good.
looks like you're actually trying to reach out to them with something of value there's intent behind it. I think even at the end of it, if they realize that it's a sales email, they've already digested your value proposition, and at that point, that's really what matters. And yeah, I mean, we're big users of Fixer here. I don't know if you use
Oh yeah,
Fixer.
I do.
We had the Fixer guys, Richard and Archie, on the show too. So I mean, heck, that all goes into a marketing folder that I don't even see. But The really, really good ones still hit my inbox. I still open them and I read them. So
Well, I think you've nailed a really good point over here, which is kind of what happened to resumes, where you're not actually building the resume for a recruiter, but for AI. Now you're actually going to be writing emails to be categorized by AI. So step one is to be the spam folder. Step two is now to beat an AI categorizer that decides that, yeah, your mail is actually something that's important versus marketing, right? And I think because I use Fixer as well, there's, the important marketing, promotion, notification, all that jazz. So you probably now want to use these tools or sign up to them. Good idea. I'm thinking through as we go through it and figure out where their AI categorizes your mail. Because to your exact point, Pete, I pretty much don't even read anything that says marketing or notification. I literally just click on it, select all, mark as read, right? I only focus on I think urgent or whatever the term they
Yeah,
have over
like
here.
needs
To
needs
respond.
response needs
To
response and
respond.
FYI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to
To
respond and
respond and
FYI.
FYI.
Those are the only two ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I wouldn't be surprised if more people start offering email filtering with needs response, if you start getting really clever outbound that solicits response.
yeah, yeah. Um, so
You know?
it's actually a great way for you to go ahead and figure out what these tools are doing because you're probably going to be reaching out. The more they grow, you're probably going to be reaching out to someone who's their customer. That means they effectively kind of become a meta Google because they now
Yeah.
get to decide your fate, not just Google itself.
Oh, dude, why is it so hard?
we say that, but
Uh,
we're all using Fixer. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. But that's the ultimate play, right? I mean, if someone goes ahead and builds the root and the cause, meaning that you built a filter on top of other mailboxes to classify mails, but you only just allow like Smartlead mails to come through. That'll be. I don't know if that's gonna have some legal cycles to it, but that'll be a fun one to
Hey,
build.
how about this? We'll build the product and you can just like pay us.
I'm ready for it.
Okay, Lucina's a great
Awesome.
question, but let's do the unfuck my startup segment first, and then we want to ask you about enterprise spam filters because Jesse Willette was on here 2 weeks ago,
Yeah, I've seen that.
and
Yeah, yeah,
he was like nobody's getting through fucking enterprise filter. I just want to know if you have a differing opinion
yeah,
about it.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
very curious
I
about it.
love Jesse.
That was new news to me. He was
Yeah,
basically he made us believe that you shouldn't even waste your time emailing anybody if they could afford Barracuda or whatever. If they could afford 50,000
yeah,
on it. So
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
so let's go
yeah,
unfuck
let's
my
pull
stuff.
somebody. So I would love somebody to come up and whose email infrastructure or they just can't land in an inbox or they can't convert or get opens or whatever it might be. They're just
And,
their email infrastructure is completely fucked.
and audience, we are talking to you.
Yes.
Who wants to ask the foremost expert in everything related to cold email, anything about cold email? Surely someone does. Surely somebody is stuck on their cold email outreach and wants to come ask V something. Please
We
raise your
have a
hand.
couple good might yeah, raise your
Yeah,
hand.
like
Said 85
yeah, like Mike, will you come up here and talk to us about this 850,000 email sends? Here we go. Steve Hader raised his hand. No, Steve Hader, where'd you go?
All right, let's pull up Steve. Steve, why don't you come up here? And then Mike, you can well, drop additional questions in here, but Steve raised his
Wait, is
hand.
Mike the guy that like casually dropped that he bootstrapped $8 million and raised 42 million? Is that you, Mike? We're trying to have Mike on the show. Is that Mike or is that somebody
No, I
else?
think I know who you're
Oh,
talking about.
yeah, yeah. Who was that? He's
I
like,
gotta go through
we
the
were just talking. Yeah, it was like somebody in the comments, dude. They're just like, yeah, we just bootstrapped 8 million and raised 42. It's like, what?
Casually.
uh
It was me
it,
and I'm masking my name, Kareem. What's up? That's hilarious.
Steve here. We need to
um
turn his video on.
cool. Steve, how you doing, my friend? All right, we'll give him a minute.
Ooh, I saw another comment I want to ask V about. And it's enterprise and it's links, but we're gonna let Steve talk first.
Go for it.
Hey guys, sorry, I was just having a technical difficulty here. So
You're
sorry about
good.
that.
Thanks for coming on, Steve.
Thank you guys. Thank you for the opportunity to ask some questions and see how things go. So yeah, just let me know where to start, and I'm just and I can start from there. I have some email sequences that basically I uploaded to like a Google Sheets that I can, if that's something that I can share, like, and then we can go over that. Like, I just to know how it works.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
feel
give
free to
it a go.
share.
Why not?
You know the best place to
Okay.
start. So yeah.
Let me see here.
You're getting a lot
So
of
that's
good
a
comments on your collection
that's a
behind you as
yeah. I was
well.
gonna say that's a sick background.
Thanks.
Impressive.
Thanks. Um,
Keith Gill,
okay.
are you the Keith Gill that did the GameStop thing? Is this a different Keith Gill? You know, the Roaring Kitty? Never mind. Anyway, we'll have Steve share his screen. Different guy. Right on.
All right. Sorry, I'm just pulling it up. I did just start. Like, I've been in the company for 2 months, and I feel like most of my emails are going to spam. As I did similar sequences to what I used to do in my previous company, as it was a similar tool. It wasn't, copy and paste, and basically, it wasn't working as expected. So I'm very curious. Maybe I use spam words because in our industry, there's a lot of basically fraudsters. So I'm guessing that might be one of the spammy words, let's say, right? Um,
I can
so
have you shared it somewhere or
Yeah, can you share your
I'm
screen?
trying to share. There we go. Okay. Window. Okay. 1 second.
You might need to hit more. It's got 3 dots and a circle around it. There you go.
Here. Do you guys see the screen with my
Yeah,
emails over here?
we now see
Because
a bunch of docs.
okay. All right. So this is, let's say, for example, my starter email. I ask if they're aware. And then I have like a B version where I'm telling them we're monitoring your website and we see over X amount of active users. So all this information is true, right? So we're giving them actual data. So in my view, I'm sending them something that's humanized and not, robust.
I'm going to let V answer this one, but articulating the word fraudsters and saying things like hijacked in a prospecting email
Mhm.
is my opinion, the wrong vibe, but turning it over to V.
yeah. Anything with hijack phishing itself, that probably will
Mhm.
be flagged directly by Gmail and Outlook.
Okay.
Even saying things like fraudsters will probably come towards that point. Um, I think this is great in terms of the brevity, and you're getting
Okay.
straight towards it. Let's just say you were trying to go ahead and sell. I always look at a WIFM, right? What's in it for me?
Mhm.
And if I were to position it as a WIFM type approach, which is you're trying to sell to me saying, we've got a bunch of people targeting my brand, because we've had this issue, right? Affiliate jacking
Mhm.
has happened to us,
Yeah.
right? If you can just go and throw a random number, it can be completely inaccurate, or if you got the accuracy even 10 times better, right? Be like, hey,
Yeah.
I found 50 something fraudsters targeting your brand, and what does that mean?
Mhm.
Right?
So, for example, here, like I'll have that, right? Like usually my idea is to do a small intro in the first email and to try to get in the inbox, right? I try not to send any pictures, URL links, demo links,
That's what I'm
like to
saying. So
put the
that this
demo.
is actually perfect, right? Because the brevity
Mhm.
is actually good. It's plain. It's very simple and straightforward. I'm just saying, if I were to receive this message, I guess because I'm in the industry, I sort of get called out and see that this is pretty much an automated mail.
Mhm.
But if you were to just send me a message saying, "Hey, we've been monitoring Smartlead's impressions. Notice that you've got about 30 something fraudsters hitting your brand and probably causing you unwanted affiliate revenue." Great.
Okay. S-
Now I'm interested.
So I do want to say, like, for example, here my first email that I decided to do, that was my first draft. This is like my
Sure.
what I've sent. I just wanted to get an idea. So here,
Sure.
like, this is for like CMOs, head of growth, so people that have like a lot of
Sure. Yeah.
responsibilities for the company's brand. So I'll say, like, several marketing leaders we've spoken to were shocked to learn how many impersonators abuse their brand in paid search, hijacking, blah blah blah. And then I talk about pain points. It damages your brand's reputation, it drives up CPC, and it makes it harder to measure true marketing performance, which these three things CMOs care about. Um,
Yep.
yeah.
Sorry, can I ask what your role is in your company?
So I'm a BDR. I do from A to Z.
Okay, sweet. So, this is just a genuine question, right? So please let me know if you can completely disagree because some copies sometimes just opinion, and I might be wrong in
Mhm.
this, right? If I were to say, "Hey, Steve, um, sales is a very important part of any business, and it's important to drive revenue for the company." People are shocked when they realize that, the Outbound engine drove X amount of revenue for them. I've helped companies, blah, 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 to do this much revenue. Would you like me to see how? The second part is
Okay.
fine, but the first part is you're explaining my own job to me in the sense that I think there's a term I learned. It's called the presumed knowledge curse. The presumed
Mhm.
knowledge curse effectively means it comes in two ways. Either you speak less about it, assuming that the other person knows about it already, or you speak more about it, assuming the person doesn't know about it, right?
Mhm.
So if you're selling to a CMO, they're already well aware of brand impersonations causing impact to their business. So you've wasted
Okay.
3 lines on that part, right? I
I
would
see.
go into I would go more into the point of, yo, if this is hurting your brand right now, I've got a solution for you, right?
Mhm.
Qualify them straight away because, like I said, I always put myself in it. I am the person who was having some people take our affiliate link, make some money out of it, and we were actually paying, they were actually targeting our own brand keyword, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
even if it was a cold email, I would have just reached out saying, send me a link, right? And if you send me a
Mhm.
screenshot showing me the Google thing, one or two things would have happened. Either I would have just ignored your mail and I said I would have gone after my head of growth saying, hey, can we get this fixed?
Mhm.
Or I would have reached out to you saying, what the hell are you doing? What software are you using? Because I'm not able to solve it myself.
So I do have in my second or third email, which my third email, like that basically like it goes here into more details, right? I'm telling them this is what our tool uncovered, and I'm sending a screenshot with verification backed up by like Google Ad Transparency. So I'm showing them like this is again where it's not personal. I actually have a screenshot of their
Fair enough.
company. It's not a
Fair
random
enough. And
company.
you've done that, but
Hmm.
so this is in terms of what Adam and Pete have been asking in terms of, hey, trends and patterns.
Hmm.
Uh, Most people don't go through even the third mail. I think by the third mail you're
Okay.
probably hitting spam. It's
Okay.
it's one or two, after which it's kind of just like you're doing it because your team has said you have to send a certain number of mails because you need to hit a KPI, but it's
Hmm.
either one or two nowadays. Nowadays, not before.
I
I'm completely wrong there, but nowadays, yeah.
I
So I'm
remember.
curious to know when you say that because I had a ratio of let's say of 100 companies that I would reach out to. I booked around 4 meetings with my sequence that I had, and I had a 5 sequence, and like basically my last sequence like is like very simple, right? It's a is this something that will be relevant to you? And I actually got the most answers on this one here. Like it's such a simple thing. Like they'll go back in the thread and they'll most likely read it, I'm guessing. But yeah, like that's why it's curious to me. But again, this was like
Great. No,
around
like I said,
three
if that
months
works
ago.
for you, fabulous, right? If that works for you,
Mhm.
fabulous. What we've tentatively seen, and my perception has come mainly from spam, not from content, right?
Okay.
So, like I said at the start of the conversation, after two, you're hitting spam.
Hmm.
And it's not your fault. It's not their fault. It's just that you're not going to get beyond two. And I think if you've had Jesse in the previous session, Jesse would have repeated a very similar concept, saying that as well. And we've
Hmm.
seen the same thing. Just for reference, Smartlead has a 1 to 5 ratio of leads to email sequences. That's pretty much our pricing model. But we've actually seen
Hmm.
a lot of customers actually just stick to 1 to 3 or 1 to 4.
Okay.
Rarely do they get to 1 to 5 nowadays, right?
Hmm.
For no reason alone, but the fact that their mailboxes get burnt out.
I see.
Um,
Okay.
just to add one slight caveat to everyone, while you're over here, everyone talks about being marked as spam, or bounces, etc., leads to you going to spam. No, it's not that. We all need to realize that mails were built for getting and receiving mails. That's it. That's the balance. It's not that complex. It's we're making a science out of something that is just very playground clay stuff. So, um, if you are sending thousands of mails for a very long period and your ratio is even 10%, that's great in the market, right? You get 10% reply rates or even 20% reply rates. That's still 80% who've not replied back to you. You scale that over 3 to 6 months, And now you've got a mailbox that effectively has not got 80% of mails every day for 6 months in a row. Your mailbox will burn out. Now, if you do that with a 5 sequence ratio, that 6 months probably gets squeezed down to 3 months or 2 months. So that's the only thing. That's what we've seen. But I will put my hand up over here and say, I've had many times where I've been proven straight up wrong. So all I can share is trends and patterns. And
Okay.
if it's working for you, uh, I'll always say this. I'll keep saying it. If it works, no touchy. Let it do its thing.
I agree. I agree.
If it works, no touchy.
Yeah, I'll write that one down. One other thing I just want to add to, like, I think it's really like, if you are going into your cold email trying to educate the heck out of people, the way to do it is by meeting them where they already are. Like, start by telling people the story that they're already telling themselves, and then work backwards from there. If you're trying to tell this completely different story, it's not going to pass the 2-second rule, which is essentially, with the 2 seconds that I go to scan this to decide if I'm going to read it, am I able to filter it out in a way that my inbox wasn't, right? So I think a lot of people just try to educate way too much, and immediately speak within their own world. But Steve, thank you for coming up, my friend. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Love the feedback. Very great. Very great.
Bye.
Thank you, man.
Very great. Boom.
Well, Steve, thanks a ton, man. So let's get into, Lucine had a great question about enterprise. So let's chat about emailing those heavier hitters. Let's say a CEO of, I don't know, a hospital, or a chief at, whatever. We all know what enterprise
anybody is. At like Nike, right? Or like, can I reach somebody at Amazon?
Yeah,
right.
100%. I think Jesse was warranted in what he said, and he's got a lot of data and information to back his point. Not a but. However, to add to that piece, we see people booking meetings with large companies every other day. Like, I think I just scrolled upon a LinkedIn post yesterday where someone shared a screenshot, which was our UI, and they booked a meeting with Nike. You call out Nike very actively.
Yep.
So it was a Nike executive, right? We had someone who booked someone with an Apple. So, and that's just old as yesterday or 2 days ago. So this works. That definitely works. However, the whole perspective over here is that will work once or twice and not at all after that for that particular domain. So if I were to go and reach out to someone at Apple with a particular mailbox domain and so on and so forth, the whole Barracuda example or Proofpoint example you gave, once my IP or once my domain's blacklisted, that's it. Say goodbye not only to my domain, but say goodbye to everything within that tenant. Right? So it's a bit of a catch-22 where if you're sending to a Fortune 500, you probably want to keep like a separate set of mailboxes in completely separate isolated tenants. Because once you get called out there, there's the tenant level thing that I said is a bit aggressive, but if you are very proactive, and you're very aggressively reaching out, you will be blocked. And it'll be a straight block. Like, it will not even bother. It'll be very unforgiving. It'll just lock you out altogether. So you will pretty much have to get a whole bunch of mailboxes that are not associated to your workspace or tenant at all, and then start sending midway up.
It's probably worth on
Shaheen?
those being. Oh,
Oh,
sorry. Continue.
No, go for it. I was just reading the chat and popped in.
I was just going to say it's probably worth on those too, since you are sending out to enterprise and the opportunity is so much higher. I mean, one, the infrastructure recommendation fee of having your own domains is fantastic. But number two, like, send less emails and send more personalized emails, like stuff that shouldn't get flagged as spam. Like, it should be very.
I think that's the general rule. Like, I think everyone says, how do I don't get flagged as spam, but not being spam. That's the easiest answer I can give you, right? It's how do I not kill someone? Don't stab them.
Is the spam, is the current spam threshold? I remember like 10 years ago when we were selling email marketing software, it was like, you don't want to get more than one spam complaint per 1,000. per 1,000 emails sent. Is that still kind of a benchmark that you follow, or are you even more?
No, I think it's actually not as bad as that.
Okay.
But Google did have that thing they pushed out about a year and a bit ago, where I think sorry if I'm forgetting the number at the top of my head, but I think it was 3 complaints per 1,000 messages, but for personal Gmail accounts only. Um, and so if you get 3 mails, if you're sending to private mailboxes, like at Gmail leads, and 3 leads mark you as spam, Gmail pretty much said it face first that they'll screw you over after that.
Interesting.
But that was for Gmail, and then I think they redacted because they initially set it for B2B, and it like spewed the whole market. Everyone's like, lead gen's dead, outbound's dead, which happens every 6 months in our space. And then I think literally 2 weeks after they pull back on their statement.
Yeah. Jim had a good summary. These are old school rules and also old school solutions. There really isn't a way around doing it right. Own hundreds of domains of possibles. Don't overspend. No spammy crap. Right on, V, he says. I think that sums it all up. So I want to quickly, right before I dive into this next topic, guys, Adam and I are recording our new show. We're doing 2 episodes tomorrow. Some of you have already left us voice notes. If you've seen podcasts before where they take audience calls, that is what we're doing. Click the link in the bottom. It says leave us a voicemail, and leave us a voicemail about your successes, your failures, your entrepreneurial journey, crazy stories, whatever it might be.
We'll send you some dope ass swag if you leave us a voicemail. We're just looking. We want to help solve people's problems. So leave us a voicemail. Audience, we were talking to you again. I feel like it's helpful to remind the people sometimes who are like currently doing 4 things and watching this.
Yes.
Leave us a voice note if you want to make it on our new show as someone with a featured problem. You can even prank call us if you want. That might be kind of funny. I don't want to invite that. Anybody got a personality here and want to prank call us and just surprise us on the YouTube show? We'll take it.
It's all about entertainment. So
we'll
do
equal parts entertainment and education is what we're going for. So
that's right.
V, next question. Can you put links in cold emails? Question mark. And then I got a follow up to this one.
Got a hot take. If just to be controversial, if that link is brand fresh and new, sure, why not? But otherwise, no.
Don't send the same link in cold emails. Right.
That's it. That the general rule over here as to why links should not be included, beyond the fact that it's HTML and CSS, and that's usually an easy red flag for most mailbox providers or secure email gateways. Beyond anything, the principle of links, it's static. Right? Because it's static, it actually ends up having an impact. We actually had a customer who removed, they were going through the whole thing, did not know what's up. They did it, not to take any credit, they did it. They removed the phone number from the signature. Boom, flipped. Now, causation versus correlation, I don't know, but seems pretty neat and makes sense in terms of staticization, because Google's picked up, or Gmail Outlook's picked up the fact that the second this little digit, this combination of numbers exist, people have marked it as spam. So same concept with links as well.
So can we send a SendSpark? Hey, Bethany, if you're here, I'm shouting you out again. Check SendSpark out. It's dope. I'm going to start actually doing this stuff. I keep saying this, but I'm actually going to do it now. Can you send something like a SendSpark video? Because that would be a unique, right? If they're personalizing the name of the person you're sending to, that would be a unique asset.
So to be clear, if you just put in like a dead domain, firstly, shout out Bethany, SendSpark, love them. They're a great tool. They know what they're doing. They're ahead of the market compared to most people. If I attach a Loom video, I don't end up in spam, right? And I've seen that happen multiple times. I send Looms all the time. I don't end up in spam. The premise over here is if you have a single, like, hey, check out my website, blah.com, right? And that blah is just there all over the place. That has an impact, right? But I do believe even the team, the SendSpark team, go ahead and actually do the SendSpark message in the follow-up as well. So general rule, you want to keep the first mail as vanilla as possible. And the second mail where you want to sparkle all the HTML and fancy grub.
Okay. So first email should be all lowercase 4 words. And then the second
Pretty much,
email
yeah.
should be
Do
a
whatever the hell you want.
personalized video of me stripping in front of the LinkedIn
Exactly.
background that
With
everybody
with
knows.
with the Bitcoin
Right.
logo tattooed to your chest. That's what you want to show, and then just have a Habibi come to Dubai at the background. So
All right.
that's what you want to have driving.
Yeah.
Once you get your foot in the door, then it's pretty much, the gateways are open.
Rock and roll. What about open tracking? Somebody's asking about that. Do you believe in it? Do you not believe in it?
No, it was gone since
How do we
2020.
evaluate if our stuff's working if we can't track opens?
I think deliverability tests are a common thing a lot of people do. You can run
And what
parallel
is that?
tests.
What does that entail? What does it do?
Deliverability test is simple. It's literally like we offer it, other tools offer it as well without any bias. It's your actual campaign, but you're actually sending it to a bunch of mailboxes that particular platform owns.
Yeah.
And then you can just see whether the mails are landing in the primary or secondary folder. Some caveat for you over there, something that we're excited to bring in very soon, is mailboxes, just like anything else, have personas. So what I mean by that is, if you send me an email about hair products, it's going to land in spam because I don't give a shit about that, unfortunately. But if you send Adam an email about hair products, it'll probably land in the primary folder because it's relevant to him, right?
I mean, it's what I
So
spend most of my time on when I'm
exactly,
not on
right.
camera.
That's I'm gonna ask for some links right after this. So with that perspective, so mailboxes actually have personas as well. So we've got it coming. We know a bunch of other people might be doing it as well. So we've got a bunch of mailboxes where we're gonna have 500 mailboxes that are personified to be a CEO, 500 personified to be an accountant, 500 personified to be a sales leader, right? And the same mail sent for this person will land in primary here, but secondary here and promotional here. So the TLDR answer for you is, if you want to go ahead and track, you want to see performance, you can use the tools that do placement tests as a way to validate your open copy, your open rate tracking, etc. However, if you don't want to do that and you're like, nah, this is too redundant, you can use open tracking. No one's stopping you, but just don't use it as an end all be all. That's not your measurement of success. It's a pretty redundant metric. It's been well, we're in 2025 May, so it's been redundant for about 3.5 years now.
Dope.
Are there any, one question I just wanted to get to, are there any filtering tactics that you're seeing work well? Because I think the thing, nothing is going to ruin your domain or increase your email infrastructure costs or decrease your success, like sending emails to a really shitty list. So are there specific tools that your users are using, whether it's inside of Smartlead, outside Clay, whatever it might be, that you recommend using as a filtering mechanism before you hit the send button?
So when you say filtering, you mean validation?
Validating and filtering out probable non-ICP fits.
Okay, non-ICP fit comes from the very root itself. So Clay, Afton mentioned them. That's the most common one we've seen. People don't talk about it a lot, just maybe because they don't think it's cool. But we love Clay. I love Clay. Varun's incredible. The entire team, Kareem, are fabulous. Clay solves a very important problem, but Apollo still exists, and Apollo does a great job, right? So the irony of all of this is Apollo is actually, what we've seen, a pretty decent share of lead sourcing for people. So if I were to put in, like, it's a balance, but we have a lot of customers who probably get their lists from Apollo, upload the list to Clay, and then do all they do the relevance generation, the content, etc., using Clay. So it's not that Clay alone does the job or Apollo alone does the job. Most of the time, you can use Apollo not alone, but you need Clay, but you can't. So Clay can be used alone by itself, right? But Apollo, most of the time, you probably want to have Apollo plus Clay to get something out for you in terms of the relevance. In terms of validation, I would simply say we've got a validation tool internally, or you got LeadMagic, Jesse's. It's by far been the one that's worked the best. We've seen customers prove that through and through. I do not get paid for this affiliation. I just have no agenda but to push something that works. So LeadMagic does a pretty sick job. People have good results from that if you want to validate your leads. In terms of relevance, like I said, Clay does a job for you. But Apollo is where you want to get the bulk of get the meat, and then you want to trim it all down based upon what Clay gives you.
Did you hear that, everybody? That is great, great advice right there. Let's see. Let's pick out one last audience question. Yes, we are posting the recording on YouTube shortly after this. We've changed up our editing, so hopefully it'll be out there before Friday. Let's see. Are you using Clay to write AI personalization, or are you doing that elsewhere? Brian Smith asks.
Yes. Play works great for AI personalization. It does the job. It does what you have to do. Smartly's got personalization set up as well. You can do that instantly. It's got it. A lot of the tools have it. To be honest, it's such a feature parity market right now. If we have it, the next person is gonna get it in like 3 weeks. If someone else has it, we'll bring it in 3 weeks. So, as customers, it's the best time to be. But in terms of that extra nudge of relevance, Clay is built for that. So fortunately, unfortunately, takes the lion's share for that.
And folks, Clay has so many great resources on YouTube, on Clay
100%.
University to figure out Clay. We're not affiliated with Clay, by the way. We're just fans and users.
Likewise.
So, yeah.
Dude, thank you for coming on and dropping knowledge. I'm
for having
excited
me.
to start this outbound thing again and to start using some of these tips that you gave us. I wouldn't
Absolutely.
have guessed the 3 to 4 word thing. I wouldn't have known the 2 email thing, but to be fair, Taylor Heron probably would.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is incredibly helpful, man. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Pierre, it's
And-
good to see you, man. It's been a minute. 100%.
Next week, by the way, for everybody who's still here, we got one of the most legendary epic bootstrappers, Nathan Barry from ConvertKit.
Ooh.
OG
yes.
bootstrapper, 45 million ARR. Yeah, I met him last week at this YPO Marketing Summit event, and he's going to be live with us next Tuesday, same time, same place. Until
Nice.
next week, thank you for showing up. Thank you again, V. This is so valuable. Email's what everybody can't figure out. So thank you for helping us unfuck our email.